stTechnology.
Don't leave it uncovered, better cover it over. Don't leave it uncovered, better cover it over. Don't leave it uncovered, cover it over.
G'day, Dancer Dave, Riverstone, king of shit hill. And have I got a story for you?
Hello and welcome to this exciting one-off edition. Hey John, Levi, suck on this. Today we're going to just jump straight into it. We're going to look at why these two towers at Grace Brothers Broadway effectively made up a giant battery when the ether cloud was down. We're also going to spend a night at the Hyatt Regency just so we can hang out in the basement. And then we're going to hang out in a mausoleum that goes 7 levels underground, where they're going to plug and pay tribute to the Tartarian truthers, Casey and Jojo. And for the Thomas Edison fans, once again I've got sweet fuck all for you. So on an afternoon when too much Tartarian ether isn't enough, sit back, relax in your favourite chair, grab that vaporizer and whatever your favourite poison is, and book that ticket to wherever, because once you get on that plane you are not coming back. All this and much, much more, but first, if I may be serious for a moment, this is not a shot at John Levi. I have the utmost respect for the man and the work he has done, and for all I have absorbed from him. This is two things. One, I've stumbled across the battery deal with Grace Brothers Broadway, a form of old world technology he hasn't made reference to yet, and please forgive me, but I can't resist being a cocky, semi-arrogant wanker about it. And two, this is a shameless attempt to attract viewers, because high tide raises all ships, and John is the flagship of this fleet. And even though he used to put me to sleep at first, and the way he'd say stTechnology used to annoy the shit out of me, these days I can't imagine saying stTechnology any other way, and I've adapted to the frequency he's on. No, John is content. He becomes hypnotically contagious over time until you start to envy where he is at.
Oakley dokley.
Oakley dokley.
Now, if there's one thing I learned from the bush tucker man, it's always walk towards the camera and squat down before you start talking. I know why. Just adds more credibility. Right, this is Grace Brothers Broadway at the peak of its glory post-World War II. I was probably in my late teens when I discovered what status the Grace Brothers building held in the social fabric of Sydney at the time. And when I say shocked, I mean it was pictures like this. It was like, well, that's a department store? And if you look at the top, just beneath the towers, I mean, yeah, you got people watching from just beneath the towers. You can only wonder what status they held in the city at the time. And look at the very top of the globes. I mean, one of them's a cross. I mean, that's ornamentation. That's not part of the battery theory I've got. That's a different photo. That's ornamentation that's been put on for the event. And you'll notice just to the right of the shot there, my finger's holding the page down because I found these photos in this book, in this library, and forgive the download. I mean, I was so focused on getting the shots of Grace Brothers, I actually forgot to take a photo of the library itself. But anyway. And I grabbed some important details off this brochure. And it was while in this library that a wonderfully helpful librarian told me they had 7 levels underground. 7 levels of archives underground. And you leave your order, you find what you're looking for, you leave your order, and yeah, 40 minutes later it's on a shelf, 1 level underground waiting for you. Anyway, here's the thing. The earliest photo I could find of the building came from 1930. And it wasn't even a photo, it was a photo of a photo. So what you're looking at right now is a photo of a photo of a photo. And although there is a narrative and a history for the building and its construction, there are no photos to confirm or back any of it up. And I not only poured through this book, several others I thought might be related to the topic but weren't, and this is the only book I could find any photos in regarding Grace Brothers Broadway. Right, that's enough jibber jabber, let's get to the battery. Okay. Now please remember, I did say when the ether cloud was down, so I'm not ruling that out. I know what's going on there thanks to my Mudflood friend Imp Tartarian, or whatever his name is. So here's a really good supporting pic for that too. But back to the battery. And the first thing we'll do is zoom in on the ether aerials at the top of the globes. Right, they didn't just pick up ether signals. They actually completed a circuit while a canal that runs underneath the building ionised the water between 2 points at the bases of the towers. And yes, the canal is there. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a photo of that. Something's been built over the entrance to the canal, or the section of the canal you can see. But that canal is definitely there. In fact, a number of stormwater drains along the gutter there on Broadway just open straight into it without any piping. And back in the day, the household kids from Glebe, like our equivalent to the trailer park of the projects, would actually form in large gangs and go down through the canals, just in case they ran into transients. But that would ionise the water between the 2 points at the base, which would then ionise the air above it and allow the circuit to be completed. And like I said, there's nothing to substantiate the store's history or the building's construction. It was meant to be But here's the thing, they brag about having built their own electricity plant. Oh, and before I forget, yeah, I've shown this to several electricians, my theory. I've shown it to a number of people in the building industry who have had an induction on how not to get electrocuted. Not one of them has disagreed with me. This is the original 4-storey building that was the department store, before, according to history, the other 2 buildings were built. But if you look at the artist depiction here, there is that 4-storey building just behind the main building. And one thing they like to brag about is that building had its own power grid. And once again, there are no photographs, so we can't tell if there was a smokestack behind that 4-storey building. I think it's far more likely the power was coming from the towers, and instead of those buildings being built, they were reappropriated, first by painting the west building white, and then moving into the other building when expansion demanded it. Then 2 world wars and a depression later, you can rewrite history with a brochure like this. Earliest photo, 1930. Oh, and look at the caption that goes with it. Oh, and one detail I've left out about the globes, and here it is right now in print. The domes above the clocks were filled with water that operated the building's hydraulic lifts.
What a joker!
Well, if that isn't the single most impractical design I've ever seen, and I know from experience, from memory, the lifts were nowhere near the walls or the towers. They were in the centre of the stores. Why on earth would you do that when you could just put purpose-made tanks on the roof in a close proximation to the elevator shafts? Once again, makes absolutely no sense. Although I'm not discounting that they actually had water in them. That would have helped ionise the air between the 2 points. And John, as soon as I finish pointing this out, I will stop working your side of the street and go back to specialising in the Hawkesbury and Balmain again.
G'day, this is Dancing Dave Riverston, Western Sydney, Australia. Yeah, if you can't tell, straight out of Riverston. Anyway, I just want to say, I would not wipe my dog's ass with Takashi 69. Thank you very much.
Would you show up with that thing on your back just 3 days before President Business is going to use the crackle to end the world?
President Business is going to end the world? But he's such a good guy. In Octan, they make good stuff. Music, dairy products, coffee, TV shows, surveillance systems, all history books, voting machines. Wait a minute.
Hello Ty, hello Byron, hello Jeff. Yep, this is what I came to the Hyatt Regency for. Oh, look at that. 1, 2, 3 levels. Although they've fixed up, they've redone the floor here since I first discovered this. This used to be cobblestone. But yeah. 1, 2, 3. But it's not until you look down that way that you, holy shit. Yeah. See why I wanted to come here now? Yeah. But here's the best part. Just keep walking. We'll go up the escalator now. Yeah, just keep going. Yeah, look at this. This used to be the ground level at one stage. Shit, eh? At one stage. Well, still is, kinda, sorta. You'll see what I mean. Of course. And look, I've got no problem with, you know, progression, you know, that this is the original building, they've built around it. The one problem I do have is, this is Sussex Street. And Sussex Street has been at that level since 1865. That's where it all comes up, Australia's history comes apart for me, that and Riverstone. Right, hopefully I'm blocking out enough of the reflection. This is the Dundee Arms in 1860, and there's Sussex Street, there's the door on the corner, there's the balcony, and there is the date saying 1860s. Ready for it? G'day, mate. There is the exact same corner, same street level, same balcony. Oh, and there's all the bit that went down but next to it, you know, they built around. But there it is. There it is. Whoop, there it is. Imagine, in fact, how many buildings were on the corner of Riverstone like this while I'm at it? Yeah, at this level in the 1860s, and you've seen what's on the other side. No fucking way. Well, Byron, I'm here. I've come down this section. All right, I'm going down the, I'm not Ty Serena. I'm not brave. I do experience fear. I'm going to take this place on and... Oh, wait. It's not there anymore. They blocked it off. Yeah, no, they blocked it off. That's where it used to go. That's the bit I used to be scared shitless of. But no, as you can see, yeah, it's just these days. So, what do you know? Ty would have been brave enough to come down here after all. It's the other bit that led through the transients. They blocked that off as well. All right, mate, I'll catch you later.
Let me tell you something about the human race. You put a mysterious blue box slap bang in the middle of town. What do? Walk past it. Now stop your nagging. Let's go and explore.
What's the plan?
I don't know. Cardiff, early 21st century, and the wind's coming from the east. Trust me, safest place in the universe.
Now, let's say one day, you know, John decides to take a break for a while, or heaven forbid goes missing because he's upset too many people, and you're suffering from John withdrawal, which would be pretty hard because he's done so much work. There's always plenty to revise on. But if you do find yourself watching the menu episode for the third time, you may want to consider Casey and Jojo, the Tartarian Truthers. And if you start watching now, you only have 30 wonderful episodes to catch up on. No, I absolutely swear by them. And they were the final impetus for me to be doing what I'm doing now, for that I will always be grateful. Oh, and just so you know, they've heard every Casey and Jojo reference and joke there is, and I'm proud to say no one's ever taken it further than me. Speaking of which... I pray with someone like you. And I thank God that I finally found you.